This man lost everything. But money wasn't the most painful part. No one in the neighborhood remembered his real name. They all called him the same thing, the failure, every morning. He pushed an old, wobbly shopping cart through the quiet streets of a small town in Oregon, collecting recyclables. His jacket was always torn at the elbows. His shoes never, ever matched. Children would giggle and point when he passed by. The adults, they'd look away, avoiding his eyes, as if poverty were some kind of contagious disease. One day, a woman standing outside a cafe muttered, just loud enough for him to hear, "If he had worked harder when he was young, he wouldn't be like this now." He heard it. His shoulders flinched, just for a second. But he kept walking and said nothing. He never defended himself. What none of them knew, what none of them could even imagine, was this: he hadn't always been poor. 20 years earlier, his name was Daniel Carter. He owned a small, honest woodworking business. It was nothing fancy, but it was built on integrity, and it fed over a dozen families in that same town. He wasn't getting rich quick, but he was living a good life, a proud life, until the day his closest friend, the man he trusted, like a brother, forged a stack of documents. It shifted a mountain of debt onto Daniel's name and vanished without a trace. The fallout was swift and brutal. Within 3 months, his workshop was seized by the bank. His family home was foreclosed. The weight of it all was too much for his wife. She collapsed from the stress and never fully recovered. People in town, the ones who knew what happened, urged him to sue. They told him to fight back, to expose the truth, to clear his name. But Daniel didn't. He refused. It's not because he was weak, far from it. He made a choice. He chose to swallow the injustice whole, to protect the very last thing he had left, his own conscience. After his wife passed away, Daniel slowly began to fade from society. There were no complaints, no bitter words spoken aloud. He just disappeared into the background of the town that had once been his home. He took whatever work he could find, no matter how small or demeaning. He unloaded trucks at dawn, cleaned streets late at night, and collected cans in between.
Some days he ate only once.
But he never stole a single thing. He never begged for a handout. One sweltering afternoon, he found a wallet lying on the pavement outside a jewelry store. It was stuffed with cash. He didn't hesitate. He sat on the curb and waited for over an hour until a frantic man came rushing out. Daniel handed it back. The owner looked him up and down, taking in the mismatched shoes and the tattered jacket, and said, "You could have kept it." No one would have known. Daniel just offered a soft, tired smile. "I would have," he said. Then came the storm. One night, the sky opened up. Rain lashed down, and a violent wind howled through the streets, knocking out the power. Suddenly, a piercing scream cut through the darkness. A house down the street had burst into flames. People poured out of their homes, helpless, just watching the fire rage. "There's someone trapped inside." A woman shrieked. A child, but no one moved. The fire was a monster. The smoke was a thick black wall. Then, out of the crowd, a figure ran forward. It was the man they all called the Failure. He plunged his jacket into a deep puddle of rainwater, threw it over his head, and charged straight into the burning house. A moment later, he stumbled out, coughing and gasping, dragging a small child to safety. But he wasn't done. He turned around and went back in. A second time, when the firefighters finally arrived and pulled him from the wreckage, Daniel was unconscious, severely burned. As paramedics worked on him, a man pushed through the horrified crowd. He was shaking, his face pale as a ghost. The moment he saw Daniel's face, his legs gave out, and he collapsed to his knees, sobbing. It was him, the same friend who had destroyed Daniel's life 20 years ago. The child Daniel had saved was his grandson. Over the years, it turned out Daniel had known where his old friend was. He'd quietly, from a distance, helped that man's family whenever they struggled, without ever revealing who he was. Later at the hospital, someone leaned in and whispered the question everyone was thinking: why? Why didn't you hate him after everything he did to you? Daniel's voice was weak, barely a whisper. He said, "Hatred wouldn't give me my life back, but it could take away what little peace I still had." In that moment, the entire street fell silent. The people who had laughed, the people who had judged, the people who had looked away for the first time, they bowed their heads in respect for the man they had once looked down on. Never ever judge a person by the moment they hit rock bottom. Because some people who are poor in money are richer in character than anyone you will ever meet. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more.